Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're watching this, you're probably thinking about buying a home. Maybe it's your first home, or maybe it's been a decade since you bought your last one. Here's the truth. The process has changed. Forms are different. The rules about who pays the agents have changed. And the market is ever changing based on the seasonality and what is going on sometimes in the headlines. So let's get started. I'm Rashawn Levin. I'm a licensed realtor in Northern Virginia, Maryland, and DC. I'm also an author of the book, The Cost to Close. I have experience with all the different loan programs. I've assisted with divorce cases, with probate, short sales, and many things. I have many designations, uh, accredited buyer representative, real estate negotiation expert, military relocation professional, and the list goes on. So that's just a quick overview. So grab a notebook. We are going to cover many things in this session so you will understand the process before getting started. So steps from start to finish. So what do you have to do? So sometimes buyers will get their pre-approval letter before they talk to a realtor. It's not that you shouldn't do that, but you should at least know what type of programs are out there before you just go to your local bank. I mean, not necessarily knocking your bank, but they may not offer you. They may say, oh, well, that program doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means they don't have it to offer it to you. So you want to know all of your resources so you can basically make an educated decision. This is the biggest purchase of your life. And sometimes people never buy homes, but sometimes it's the first home purchase, several homes. So you want to know based on where you are in your buying cycle, your buying season, what type of program is available for you right now, whether it's the first time or not. What I also want to mention, if you have purchased a home and sold it 3 years ago, then you are in the definition of first time home buyer again. So that's a tip. So buyer consultation, you should have a buyer consultation. So because you want to meet with a realtor and find out, are they going to align with what you are seeking in a professional? Because this is a business relationship. You want to make sure, are they going to be available to you? Are they going to be that resource that you need? And then after you have the consult, you can have a consult with one person. You may find out that you meet the first person and you say, well, this is the person. I don't need to meet anybody else. Great. Hire them. In order to hire them, you will have to hire them based on, especially if you're in my particular area, you may be looking at this if you're in another state, but if you're considering multiple states, you'll need agreements in all of those states. In my particular area, you would need one. If you're considering Virginia, Maryland, and DC, then you will need 3 different agreements because they're all different. Because if you're considering all of those things, you have to hire that person in those particular areas. So then you get your pre-approval letter. You can get one or a few. I would recommend you get 2. And most of the time, I mean, you don't need 10 pre-approval letters. What you want to do is you want to see, okay, well, who has the program? Because especially if you're in a first-time home buyer program, your interest rate is not going to change. What you're looking at is how much is this going to cost me based on, okay, the lender fees and all those kinds of things. That's what you want to know, because you need to get a clear cut, as close as possible, of how much this deal is going to cost you, because you have to know whether you have enough money to actually close at the end. And your negotiation power is like, well, how much are you going to ask the seller for? Can you ask them? What is it going to look like? So then after you get your pre-approval letter, then you go on your showing appointments. And one thing I want to mention about pre-approval letter, it's not necessarily say, okay, well, the lender says, okay, you're approved for $500,000, for example. You want to know what that payment looks like based on this interest rate, not necessarily the sales price amount. Because you say, oh, well, yeah, I'm got approved for $800,000. But if you don't like that payment, then that doesn't really matter. It's like, well, what's the payment what's the sales price based on the payment you want and based on the home type, because 500,000 in a condo is probably not going to be the same thing in a townhouse because of condo fees and whatnot. So then after you find the home of choice, then you would submit an offer. You may have to submit one. You might get lucky and get the one, and then that's it. But you may have to submit more than one. So get ready. Then once your contract is accepted, then you're under in escrow, and then you close. So that's like the simple version of what happens. And then we'll go into more depth as we go through the presentation. So the truth about lenders, having a reputable lender will save you time and money. You have no idea how many times I've had buyers go outside of what I have recommended, and then it's just, I don't know how to say it politely. Let me find the right words. It's like walking on hot coals the whole way. And you just don't want drama. You want the experience to be as smooth as possible. It's already, sometimes a nail biting event because you're thinking like, oh, well, am I doing the right thing? Am I buying the right house? So you don't want that to be an element of anxiety into the already anxious situation of buying a house. So that's that. So now let's talk about mortgages. So you have 4 different types of mortgages. So you have FHA, you have VA, which is only for veterans. You have USDA, which you only can purchase in a rural development area. It has to be zoned based on the address. In some areas, you actually be surprised that are considered rural still, but you have to look up every address and make sure. So you can get approved with USDA, but know that you will be limited on where you can purchase. And also conventional loans. The truth about financing. So, you can buy a house with a 580 credit score, but you might not like your interest rate though. And also with a 580 credit score, I do know lenders that have down payment assistance programs with 580, but your rate is going to be higher. But you can do it. You can do it. There are ways around it. There is a plan for everybody. We just have to find out whether that plan makes sense for you. So now let's talk about the down payments with the different types of mortgages. So for FHA, you'll need 3.5% down, and there are down payment assistance programs that will take care of the 3.5%. So the down payment could be in the form of a grant. It could be in the form of a loan that you will have to repay back. For a VA, there's no down payment required, but there is what's called a funding fee. And the funding fee is going to be determined based on whether this is the first time you're purchasing the house or the second time. The second time, the fee is more than the last, and also whether you're active duty or whether you're a reservist. So those fees can change and vary. And if you're at least 10% disabled, the fee is waived, which will save you money there. USDA, there's no down payment with that. That's for the rural development loan. And for conventional, if you're a first-time home buyer, you have the opportunity to only put down 3%. If you are purchasing again, then you will likely be put in the category of 5% down payment. And for all of these, there are down payment assistance programs available. So these are a couple forms that I want to kind of review ahead of time, not go in depth with them, but things that you will see over the course of your transaction. So it's not the first time you're seeing them when you see them from your lender or other resources. So up first, we have your 1003. So this is a uniform residential application. So this is everything about you, your personal information, where you work, where you worked in the past, what's your income, what type of, are you a citizen, are you married, what's the social security number, what are your assets, all of those things, what are your debts. So everything is basic. So think of this as like a snapshot of you financially. So that's that. So that's what will come from your lender. A lot of times what will happen is you probably won't fill this form out like this. It will be on a actual online system. So you'll fill out an online application, and then they will input that into this document, and then you will sign this at the end. So then you will have your 4506T. So this is the request for getting your transcript. So you're giving the lender authorization to use this form to compare what you said on paper. So basically comparing, okay, if you said you made 100,000, okay, well, we want to compare. Did you really make that or did you make it up? So we want to compare those two things. Then you have your SSA 89. So this is the authorization for the Social Security Administration to verify your Social Security number to the lender. So they have a certain amount of time whether they have authorization to use this, and you would sign that form. So if you're purchasing a condo, the lender will request a condo questionnaire because they want to basically find out whether the community is stable. They want to know, okay, well, who's the management company? How many investors to owners are there in the community? And if those ratios don't align with what they need or what they want in a community, is it enough master's insurance policy on the building? Is the building being poorly maintained with maintenance? They want to protect the investment. They will deny the loan. So this is an important document. So you will have to pay for this up front. Your appraisal report. So what's the value? Okay, if the house is worth 500,000, well, I won't say worth, but if the sales contract says 500,000, the appraiser is going to go out, do the analysis. What's going on in the community? Is the neighborhood, is there growth in the neighborhood? Is the neighborhood declining? What's going on in the area? Is it near airport? Is it near noise? What's going on in the community? Is there oversupply? Is there undersupply? Are there a lot of short sales? Are there a lot of foreclosures? What's going on? Is the neighborhood stable in the area? And also, what's going on with the house? Is the house in good condition? Is there a lot of deferred maintenance? Because a lot of times an appraisal will come back. It's like, okay, well, we have value. However, the owner is going to have to do X, Y, and Z before the appraisal will be released. And then there will need to be a second inspection that will need to be done. So that's that. So closing disclosure, you'll get an initial closing disclosure, like of an estimate of how much your fees are going to be. So it's going to have your loan amount, your interest rate, your monthly principal and interest. Is going to show, okay, if you have mortgage insurance, it's going to say what your escrow is. That's with your taxes. Is going to talk about that. And then your closing costs, and then the amount cash to close. That's the amount that you actually have to bring to closing. So it's going to say that. And a survey, finally form that we'll talk about today is a survey. So the survey is basically saying what is going on with the property. Where's your property line? What's your boundary? Where your property ends? What's the frontage? Where's the garage? If there's a garage, where's the fence? Are there any special easements with the property? Do you have to go through your land before you go to the neighbor's house? So what is going on? What's the frontage? What are the actual rules in that? So you will get this. But I will say, if you get a survey, make sure that you get a survey that has this, what's called a survey with stakes. Because if you get this document, I mean, what does that really mean? It's like, oh yeah, that's where the house is. I mean, what does that mean? You want to have basically the stakes is with the flag. So you could say, okay, well, this orange flag, okay, this is where my property line is. So then you know that's where your property line is. Because otherwise you're just looking at a piece of paper. What does that mean? So then you know, okay, especially if you have a decent sized yard, okay, you don't want to encroach on your neighbor's yard, especially if there's no fence there, or if it is a fence there, you want to make sure, well, is this fence really supposed to be there, not supposed to be there? You don't want to cut somebody's grass. You're not supposed to cut the grass. Don't want to upset the neighbors ahead of time. You just move there. So that's that. So your home, this is the fun part. We will talk about, what do you want in your house? Do you need a backyard? What type of home do you want? Do you want a condo, townhome, single family, or you want a luxury house? Parking, do you want covered parking? Do you have to have a 2-car garage, 1-car garage, or at least a driveway? What type of closets do you need? What type of storage? What type of kitchen are you looking for? Do you want to be updated? Are you okay with, we'll say, a regular house, but you're okay with, as long as the house has good bones and you're willing to make improvements later? What are those types of things that you are desire? So you want to make a list of, okay, my nice to haves, but then you have your deal breakers, like, which in my mind are deal breakers. I will not buy this house if it doesn't have X, Y, and Z, period. So those are more than what you want to focus on. Nice to haves are great, so we can sprinkle some of those things in. But deal breakers, like if you must have 3 bedrooms, we're not looking at 2 bedrooms. There's no point. We're wasting time. If you have to have a garage, we're eliminating houses that do not have a garage. So that's what I mean by deal breakers. It's like a nice to have would be, okay, well, we want laminate flooring or hardwoods. That's a nice to have. You can change that later. If it's carpet, you can live with it. That's not a deal breaker in my mind. Some people it is. So that's that. So now market trends. So what type of markets are you in? So a seller's market means there's less homes and more demand. So that means you have to be more aggressive with your offers. A neutral or balanced market, that means it's equal supply of homes and demand. It's like average. There's still negotiation room, but you don't really have much leverage there. If it's a buyer's market, then you have lots of leverage because there is more homes and less demand. So you can, I won't say name your price, but almost. So the truth about real estate, the truth is that you'll never find a home that is 100% of what you want. You'll get about 75 to 80% of what you want unless you're willing to compromise. And compromise could be changing the home type or raising the sales price. All right, let's talk about money. So, up first with money, we want to talk about earnest money deposit. What is it? Earnest money deposit, also for short, is also the acronym EMD for earnest money deposit. It's the amount of funds held in escrow that is credited towards your total closing fees, which includes your down payment and closing costs. This can be in the form of a personal check or certified check, or it could be also wired to the title company. So I wanted to put a diagram of what a check looks like because a lot of people have either never written a check, don't know what it looks like. So here's like a sample of what you would have. So you would have the date on the check. You would have paid to the order of your realtor will tell you where it needs to be endorsed to. Title company, more than likely, the amount of the check. In this case is $5,000. How to write the check, $5,000, which I'll show you based on what type of the amounts of your check. I'll show you what needs to be on it and how it needs to be written. And then you would endorse it at the bottom. So how much money do you need at contract time? So you'll need your earnest money deposit, inspection fees, and appraisal. So we're going to use the example of $500,000. So typically, earnest money deposits are 1% of the sales price. To make your offer stronger, you should submit more money, but we'll start with 1% of the sales price. So 1% of the sales price is $5,000. You're going to need your inspections. You shouldn't buy a house without having inspections done, but you could waive them. That's at your own risk. I would never recommend you do that. And inspection money, these are all funds that are actually going to be needed within the week of you actually being under contract. So home inspection, radon, termite, and then your lender is going to order your appraisal, and they will not order it until you pay for it. So on average, it may be $500, could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but typically on average, that's how much it costs. So total needed at contract time is $6,250. So now, how much is needed at closing? So your earnest money is not an extra cost. It's credited towards your closing. This is an estimate that you'll need to actually bring to closing based on if your down payment was 5% in average closing costs. This is just an estimate only. The actual amounts is going to depend on your loan type, your down payment requirements, and the location of where the home you're purchasing. So you need to contact your loan officer for a personalized breakdown of your closing costs. So the same sales price example, 500,000. If your down payment was 5% of the sales price, you would be putting down 25,000. Closing costs would be 20,000. So that's 4% of the sales price minus the earnest money that you had submitted at the beginning of the contract. So you would need 40,000. But keep in mind that there are solutions for the closing cost amounts and the amount that you need for down payment. So when we work together, we can find out what that solution is, whether it has to all come from you, come from a 401k, retirement account, or if you're selling a home, it can come from that. We can ask a little bit from everyone, possibly. So a little bit from the seller, maybe a little bit from this pocket over here, another area here. So now let's talk about escrow. So, steps to submitting an offer. So, next you will need your pre-approval letter. So, a lot of times your lender will give you the maximum amount. So, say it was 500,000, but the house you actually are looking at is, let's say, 460. So, we would get the lender to revise the letter to have it at 460, not necessarily 500, because we may need that leverage there. We don't want them to, if the house, especially we're trying to lower the price, if the house is really 500 and we're trying to lower the price, we might not want them to know the maximum amount ahead of time. Sales price, your earnest money, the amount that you're going to contribute. So the earnest money, it could be a little bit less than 1%. It depends on what the seller is willing to accept. You can offer that and see if they are okay with it. They may counter and say, well, we want more money held in escrow. So it just depends. Seller subsidy, how much are you going to ask the seller? Are you in that type of market where you could be, where you have to be aggressive? If you have to be aggressive, then you can't really ask for any seller subsidy. Ask the seller for buyer agent compensation to be paid partially or the full amounts. Are you going to pay part of it and have them pay part of it, or something of those lines? What types of contract contingencies are going to be in your contract, closing company and closing date, and also any other things that you actually want to contribute with the house. Actually, what's going to stay with the house? What's going to convey? Do you want a special lighting fixture? Do you want the TV in the house or whatever? So you want to put those things in there. So contract contingencies. So you'll have a home inspection. So the outcome with that is if there are anything discrepancies that you don't like, you'll ask for a repair or credit. Rate on inspection will be remediation or credit. Financing, if you get denied for the loan, you can get out of the contract. If the appraisal comes in low, then you will ask for a new sales price. If they don't lower the price, then you withdraw. HOA and or condo resale package, once you review it, if there are any seller violations, the seller has to do that. If there's anything in the package that you just can't live with it, you can get out within the deadline. Home sale, do you need to sell a home before you're purchasing this one? Put that in there. Post occupancy, does the seller need to do a rent back? That happens a lot, so I'll focus on that. So what that means is you would say you closed in January and the seller needed to stay until the end of February. So basically they are renting the house back from you for a particular time, and then you would actually take possession. You will have keys at settlement, but you actually take possession after they have moved out. So all contingencies have a solution to continue with the contract or end. So think of contingencies or if then this will happen. That's to sum up what that means. So in escrow, closing timeline. So you'll have your pre-approval, your showings, then your escrow, then closing. So the quickest closing that I've seen is 14 days after escrow. So if you found a home today, you're under contract, then you would close 14 days. But that means everything is rapid speed. Everything is in line. Everything was underwritten ahead of time. Appraisal can get done Wouldn't be able to do that with VA financing because you need at least 25 days, but typically 30 to 40 days for escrow. But you have to have the right lender and make sure that everything is working in order to follow that timeline. Closing. So, quick facts about closing: no closings on weekends or holidays. If you need a power of attorney, get that early. Ensure your driver's license is not expired or have an alternative for a driver's license. You can use your passport or anything else that's not expired, because you cannot close with an expired identification. Closing can be in a different location. So say you have a closing company and they're in my area, if you're in Alexandria and you want to close near the house, or you want to close at the house. I've had clients close at their house. I've had clients close at their office, but I need to know ahead of time so we can plan that accordingly and use a title company that allows that particular service and find out, do they charge for it. Funds for closing will need to be wired more than likely. A lot of closing companies want the funds to be wired instead of you having they won't allow a personal check, but a lot of times now they don't want to even have a certified check. So when is your first mortgage payment going to be due? So this is a quick chart. So if you're closing in January, your first payment will be March, because your your mortgage payments are paid in arrears. So that's how that works. So let's say you're closing in September, then your first payment is in November. So that kind of gives you an idea to plan accordingly. So agency. So this is important. We have to talk about that. So who represents who? So the listing agent on the left-hand side, those are the agents that represent the seller. So their job is to get the seller the most money in the least amount of time. So then you have the selling agent, or also called buyer's agent. So that's me on the right. So my job is to represent you. And so then you have designated agency. So designated agency would be where if the listing agent, the house that you actually liked, was a listing agent at my particular office, either Falls Church or Alexandria. So that would be designated agency, because both realtors are underneath one broker that employs us directly. So that's that. So dual agency. So you see the photo of me twice. So that's would be, I've only done this twice in my career in 20 years. So this would be, I represent both parties at the same time. Wouldn't recommend it to everybody because it can be challenging, but that's that. I just wouldn't, because you can't represent both parties. So I would say no to that. So the truth about agency fees. So buyer agency fee must now be transparent for everyone in the transaction and must be placed in the sales contract to whether the seller or buyer will pay the fee. It's not required that the seller pays the fee, but the seller can pay the fee, if that makes sense. So that is all for today's overview of the home buying process. I hope you learned something. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming to you. If you would like to interview with me to see if it is a good fit to purchase your next home, you can schedule an appointment by scanning the QR code or give me a call at 240-284-4114. Make it a great day, and thank you for watching. If you're thinking about buying a home now or sometime in the future, this video is for you. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, relocating, or planning ahead, my goal is simple: to help you understand how the home buying process really works without pressure or confusion. This is buyer education, so take what you need, let it play in the background, and come back to it anytime. Step 1. Start with why. Before we talk about loans, prices, or neighborhoods, the first step is clarity. Why do you want to buy a home? Is it for stability? Maybe more space? Predictable payments? You want to create wealth with a long-term investment? A change in lifestyle? Your reason for buying determines how you should buy and when. Not everyone should rush into home ownership, and the best plans are built around your timeline, not market noise. Step 2, understanding affordability. One of the biggest mistakes buyers make is focusing only on the purchase price. What really matters is the monthly payment, which includes the principal and interest, property taxes, insurance, any HOA fees or condo fees if applicable. If two buyers can buy the same price home and have completely different payments, not every person is going to have the same payment if everything is exactly the same, because nothing is exactly the same. Affordability is personal. It's not about the maximum you approved for. It's about what fits your lifestyle and comfortability. Step 3, pre-approval versus pre-qualification. You may hear the terms pre-qualified and pre-approved used interchangeably, but they are very different. Pre-qualification is a quick estimate. A pre-approval is a verified review of your finances. A true approval strengthens your offers. It gives you a realistic buying power. It helps avoid surprises later, because who likes surprises unless money's involved? Even if you're a year out, speaking with the lender early helps you plan for your future. Step 4, the home search. Most buyers don't need to see dozens of homes. With clear preferences, many buyers can find the right home after viewing just a handful of properties. You don't need to see 100 houses to find the perfect one. If you're doing that, then you haven't narrowed it down far enough. The goal isn't to find the perfect home. It's to find the right home that meets your priorities. Every home involves trade-offs. Knowing which ones matters the most to you will help the process move smoother and give you less stress. Step 5, making an offer. So submitting an offer is more than just choosing a price. A strong offer considers market conditions, financing terms, contingencies, timelines, seller motivation. The best offers balance competitiveness with protection. This is where guidance matters, because the goal isn't just getting under contract, it's getting to closing. Once you're under contract, the process becomes structured. So this is step 6, from contract to closing. This phase may include home inspections, appraisal, loan processing, final walkthrough. Most buyers close within 21 to 30 days, though it depends on the loan type and terms. Clear communication and preparation keep this phase smooth. Step 7, the bigger picture. Buying a home isn't just a transaction. It's a long-term decision. The right plan accounts for your goals, career changes, family needs, financial flexibility. Education gives you confidence. Confidence leads to better decisions. If you're thinking about buying now or in the future, start with education and planning. This video is part of a rotating buyer education series. You can explore more resources, guides, and next steps with the links provided. Thanks for watching, and feel free to let this continue playing as you learn more. If you're thinking about buying a home now or in the future, understanding financing is one of the most important parts of the process. This isn't about memorizing loan programs or chasing interest rates. This is about understanding how financing works so you can make confident, informed decisions. Let this play in the background, pause when needed, and come back anytime. The role of financing in homeownership. Financing determines more than just whether you can buy the home. It affects your monthly payment, flexibility, and long-term comfort. Two buyers purchasing the same home can have very different experiences based on loan type, down payment, credit profile, and timing. The goal isn't to stretch. It's to build a plan that works for your life. Understanding the monthly payment. When buyers talk about affordability, what they usually mean is monthly payment. Your total housing payment often includes principal and interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, mortgage insurance, if applicable, HOA fees, if it's a condo, also that, if applicable. Focusing on the full payment, not just the price, helps avoid surprises later. Credit scores, what really matters. Credit scores are often misunderstood. They don't just affect approval, they influence loan options and overall costs. Lenders generally look at payment history, debt usage, length of credit, credit mix. Improving credit is usually about strategy, not perfection. Even small changes can expand your options. Down payment myths and reality. Down payment myths versus reality. One of the biggest myths in home buying is that you need a large down payment. Many buyers qualify with lower down payment options depending on loan type, credit profile, income, location. Your down payment affects monthly payment, loan structure, cash needed to closing. There's no single right amounts, only what works best with your plan. Loan types explain: FHA, conventional, and VA. Now let's talk about the most common loan types buyers use at a high level. FHA loans are often popular with first-time home buyers or buyers building credit. They are designed to be more flexible with credit requirements and down payments. FHA loans can be a strong stepping stone into homeownership, especially for buyers focused on accessibility rather than perfection. Conventional loans are commonly used by buyers with stronger credit profiles. They often offer more flexibility long-term, options to remove mortgage insurance over time. Conventional financing can work well for buyers planning to stay in the home longer or who have more financial flexibility. VA loans are available to eligible veterans and active duty service members. They are often known for no required down payment, competitive terms, strong purchasing power. For eligible buyers, VA loans can be one of the most powerful financing tools available. Each loan type serves a purpose. The best loan isn't universal, it's personal. That's why conversations with the lender are so important. Pre-approval, why timing matters. Pre-approval is one of the most important steps in buying a home. It provides a clear price range. It gives you a stronger space when submitting an offer, smoother negotiations, fewer last-minute issues. Pre-approval isn't a commitment, it's information. Even if you're months away, starting early helps you plan intentionally. Closing costs explained simply. In addition to down payment, buyers should plan for closing costs. These may include lender fees, appraisal, title services, prepaid taxes and insurance, among a host of other things. Some costs are negotiable, and some are structured differently depending on the transaction and the location of the property. Understanding these up front reduces stress later. Financing strategy over time. Financing isn't static. Buyers may refinance later, change loan structures. They can adjust as life changes. The initial loan gets you into the home. The strategy evolves over time, so things can change. The best plan leaves room for flexibility. Financing is one piece of the home buying journey, but it's a powerful one. This seminar is part of an ongoing education series designed to help you plan with confidence. Additional resources, guides, and next steps are available through the links provided. Thank you for listening, and feel free to continue playing. If you're thinking about buying a home, you probably have questions, and you're not alone. This video covers the most common questions buyers ask throughout the home buying process. Though they're not all the questions, but there are a few that I thought that I should tackle today. There's no pressure here, just education to help you feel more confident as you plan. How much home can I really afford? Affordability isn't about the maximum price you're approved for. It's about what fits your lifestyle. Your comfort level depends on the monthly payment, other financial obligations, your savings goals, lifestyle priorities. The right budget feels sustainable, not stressful. Do I need a perfect credit score? No, you don't need a perfect credit to buy a home. Many buyers qualify with a range of credit profiles. I've had clients that got approved with a 580 credit score. I've got clients approved with the 825 credit score. So it just depends on your credit profile. Many buyers qualify based on their complete scenario. What matters most is consistent payment history, manageable debts, a plan to move forward. Improvement is often possible with the right guidance. How much do I need for a down payment? Well, there's no single down payment requirement for all buyers. Some programs require more upfronts and others allow for lower down payments. For instance, FHA, the minimum requirement is 3.5% of this purchase price, while conventional will for first-time home buyers can be as low as 3%. And also for VA, there is no down payment required. And USDA is no down payment required. It's 100% financing. And there are many 100% financing programs within conventional and FHA platforms, loan programs. The right amount depends on loan type, credit profile, long-term plans, your cash reserves, etc. It's about strategy, not just percentages. Should I buy now or wait? This is one of the most common questions buyers ask. The right time to buy depends on your readiness, not headlines. Readiness includes financial stability, lifestyle needs, career plans, personal goals. Waiting can be a strategy, but so can buying. How long does the buying process take? From pre-approval to closing, many purchases take about 30 to 90 days. And the reason why I say 90 days, because it could take you a while to actually find your home of choice. That's probably the longest part of the process, not necessarily the contract to close part. Though the timeline depends on financing, the market conditions, that's part of what I just said. If it's not a lot of houses on the market, then you're going to be fighting for the houses with bidding wars. Buyer readiness. Are you really ready to buy? You may think you are, but we need to narrow that down and make sure that you are, because that will help in your strategy to purchase. Property type. Are you willing to change the property type? If you want a townhouse, are you willing to go to a condo? Or if you want a single family, are you willing to get maybe a luxury townhome? Or are you you have to have a single family, which I get. You have to have what you want. You want to buy what you want. But then if it's not within budget, are you willing to change location? So what are you willing to do? Planning ahead creates flexibility. How many homes will I need to see? Most buyers don't need to see a dozen homes. With clear priorities, many buyers find the right fit after viewing a limited number of properties. Clarity saves time and reduces stress. What costs should I plan for besides the price? In addition to the purchase price, buyers should plan for closing costs, inspections, appraisals, moving expenses. Understanding the full picture up front prevents surprises later. What happens if the inspection finds issues? Inspections are meant to inform, not to alarm. Findings can lead to repairs, credits, price adjustments, or in some cases, walking away. This is a normal part of the process. So there's no bad inspections, not a bad report. But if you can't live with those items, then you can walk away. That's why we have contingencies. Can I buy and sell at the same time? Yes, many buyers do. This requires coordination and planning, especially around timing and financing. And you need to have the right team that knows what they're doing. With the right strategy, both transactions can work together smoothly. Buying a home comes with questions, and asking them early helps you plan better. This video is part of a buyer education series designed to give you clarity and confidence. Explore additional resources and next steps using the links provided. Thank you for watching, and feel free to keep playing as you learn more. Home staging, why presentation impacts value. When a buyer walks into a home, they make decisions faster than most people realize. Often, those decisions happen before they look at the price, before they read the description, and sometimes before they've walked through every room. Home staging isn't about decorating or personal style. It's about presentation. Staging helps buyers understand how the space will function for their lifestyle. It will help them visualize themselves living there. It will help them focus on the home's strengths instead of distractions. Well-staged homes often show better online, feel more spacious in person, and create stronger first impressions. In this segment, you'll see examples of how thoughtful staging can change how a home is perceived without changing the home itself. Let this play observe the details and notice how presentation shapes the experience. Home staging isn't about making a home look perfect. It's about helping buyers see possibilities. Small adjustments in layout, lighting, and flow can change how a home feels and how buyers respond. When presentation aligns with pricing and marketing, homes tend to attract more interest, generate stronger offers, and sell with fewer obstacles. This video is part of the seller education series focused on preparing homes for